Good day, dear students. I welcome you all in the Gyan Doot 2.0 English online classes. And today I am going to do with you a poem by Donne, and the title of the poem is Death Be Not Proud. So, if we pay attention on the title of the poem, it is a very unusual title where he is asking death not to be proud. So it is a very unconventional sort of title, and which suggests that the theme which will be dealt with in this poem will also be very unconventional. So let us start with the poem. The poet says, "Death be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou thinkest thou dost overthrow, die not poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me." So, as I have already told you, that it is a very unconventional sort of poem, metaphysical poem, where the theme is totally unconventional and non-traditional. Generally, it is seen that death is feared by people and death is respected and feared also by poets. But here the poet Donne is scolding death. He is literally chiding death. And he says, "Death, be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful." Mighty means powerful. Dreadful, something to be feared of. So he says, "Death, you should not feel proud of yourself, though some poets have given thee two names. They call you mighty and they also call you dreadful, and you should not think that you are either mighty or dreadful, for thou art not so." For here means because you are not so. You are neither mighty nor you are dreadful. "For those whom thou thinkest thou dost overthrow, die not poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me." He says that some people call death mighty because it has the power of killing people. It has the power over the common people and over the kings also. So it is mighty, all powerful, and it is dreadful. But he says that you should not feel proud that you are either mighty or dreadful, because you are not so. Because those whom thou thinkest thou dost overthrow. Thou means you. For those people about whom you think that thou hast overthrown them. Now this term overthrow is a technical diction from the field of coronation, as if one king is overthrown and another is taking over the throne. So death overthrows people from the seat of life, and it takes the seat itself. So he says, you are neither mighty nor dreadful, because those people don't die for whom you think that you have killed them. Die not poor death. Now notice the use of this adjective poor. You are not mighty and dreadful, on the contrary, you are poor. How can a poor person or a helpless person be mighty and dreadful, or the vice versa? "Nor yet canst thou kill me." Now he leaves a feeling of suspicion in the minds of readers when he says that "nor yet canst thou kill me," means you have not killed anybody till now, and you are unable to kill me also. So in the first stanza, the poet is literally scolding. He is chiding death that you should not be proud of yourself. Death is being compared with a proud and conceited lady who thinks and who is thought of as mighty and dreadful. But he says that I refute these arguments that you are mighty and dreadful, because you are neither mighty nor dreadful. because those people about whom you think that you overthrow them or you kill them, they die not. Poor death, you are poor. You are helpless yourself, and he will give the answer for the use of this adjective. Nor yet can thou kill me. Means those people about whom you think that you have killed them, they don't die, and nor can you kill me. Now there is a question in our mind that on what grounds does the author say that death cannot overthrow any people, or how can death not kill the poet himself? The answer is to be found in the next stanza when he says, from rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be, much pleasure then from thee much more must flow. Now he says, from rest and sleep. Now he compares death with two things, rest and sleep, which are the pictures of death, because a resting person, a sleeping person, seems as if he is a dead person, because the difference between a sleeping person and a dead person lies only in the breathing, the exhaling and the inhaling. So he says that rest and sleep are your pictures, are your reflections, much pleasure. Now, if we can get much pleasure from rest and sleep, then from thee much more must flow. Imagine if from your pictures, rest and sleep, we get so much of refreshment, we get so much of energy to work after we wake up from rest and sleep. So we get so much of pleasure out of rest and sleep, which are just pictures of death. So from original death, much more pleasure must flow. So death is not to be feared, it is pleasurable. It is something to be waited for. And soonest our best men with thee do go. Death may claim that I take your best men with me. Now, who are the best men? In our society, we have best men. Best men means best in the field of social service, best in the field of education, in the field of religion, in the field of beauty, in the field of wealth. So, all these best men are also helpless in front of death. So, someday or the other, they are taken away by death. And soonest, our best men with thee do go. No matter how long they live, we feel that very soon death takes them away. But the poet says that though you have access, though you have control over our best men also, and you can take them away, but what harm did you cause them? Rest of their bones and souls delivery. You have not caused any harm to those best men. You have given them rest to their body, and their soul has been liberated from the clutches of body. Now, these best men have been working hard for the benefit of the society, for the upliftment of the society in their particular fields. They have been tiring their bones whole life. Now, death comes as a relief for them. Death comes as a rest of their bones. So, death is not to be feared by our best men. So, it is neither a loss for their body, which receives rest, and it is neither a loss for their soul, because it is a soul's delivery. Soul is delivered after death from the clutches of the body. So he says that your claim that I take away your best men also has also proved futile, because our best men have been striving hard, have been working hard throughout their life, and death does not cause any loss to them. They have been working hard, so their bones will get rest only after death. Whole life till the end of their life they have been working hard. For example, Abdul Kalam Azad, till the last breath of his life he was teaching. In the same way, we have many examples. So he got rest only after death, and his soul was liberated from the body. So he says, "Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men. You are neither fearful nor mighty. On the contrary, you are a slave. You are not a king. King is mighty, king is powerful. But you are not a king, you are a slave. Because you come at a calling. And that person who comes at a calling is a slave. So you are a slave, not we. And you are a slave to fate. You come when fate beckons. You come when chance has appeared in the person's life for death. You come on the calling of kings. When kings declare war, so many people die. For example, the present war between Russia and Ukraine, so many people are dying. And that is because of the decisions of the kings. And in other words, the decisions of the presidents of those countries. And desperate men who commit suicide. They also call death. And that thing which comes at somebody's calling cannot be a master. It is a slave. So he says that you should not feel proud of yourself because you are a slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men. You come at the calling of fate, destiny. You come at the calling of chance. Now there are by chance deaths also, accidents. A lot of accidents take place. They are by chance deaths. Then kings. Kings can give death sentence. Kings can give orders for wars. So they also become the reason for the death of people. And then desperate men. The people who are desperate from their lives. They are disappointed and they call death in the form of suicide. And he says that dust means does. It is Old English. Dust with poison, war, and sickness dwell. Dwell means live. And you live with such heinous things. You live with poison. Poison is synonymous of death. War is synonymous of death. Sickness is another name of death. So he says that your company is such a bad company and heinous company. You live with poison, war, and sickness. And poppy and charms can make us sleep as well. Poppy means intoxication, the flower of poppy, intoxicant plant, and charms means hypnotism. So we can sleep by some sort of intoxication or hypnotism. And better than thy stroke. So we can also call death in the form of sleep by poppy and charms, and better than thy stroke. He says poppy and charms can make us sleep as well because sleep, he has already told, is a picture of death, and better than thy stroke because we can wake up whenever we want. So that is why the stroke of sleep is better than death's stroke. Why swellest thou then? Now finally he says, why are you swelling with pride? Why do you feel proud of yourself that you are mighty and dreadful? People fear you. Because he has given so many reasons that you should not feel proud of yourself. So in this stanza, he says that you are not a king or a master, but you are a slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men, and you live with poison, war, and sickness. And he says that poppy and charms can make us sleep as well, and better than thy stroke. So you have no reason left. He has refuted all the arguments of being proud of death. So he says, why swellest thou then? What is the reason for your swelling with pride? He says, one short sleep past, we wake eternally. Now, here there is a use of metaphor. He says that death is like a short sleep, and after that short sleep, we wake eternally. Now, here is a biblical allusion, a reference to the Bible, where he compares death with a short sleep and the life after death with an eternal waking. Our soul never dies, only the body dies. So he says, with the death of the body, which is just a short sleep, we wake eternally. After that, nobody can make us sleep in the form of death. Now, here in the last line, there is a total reversal of situations. He says that death shall be no more, death thou shalt die. So at this point of situation, when we die, our body liberates the soul and the soul wakes up eternally. And that is the point where death shall be no more, because death can cause harm to the body, but death can't cause any harm to the soul. So death shall be no more after the death of the body. Death thou shalt die. So when a person's body dies, death also dies, because death is closely associated with the physical body. With the death of the physical body comes the death of death itself, because death can kill only the body, it can't kill the soul. So we notice the total reversal of situation. Now, as I told you that it is a metaphysical poem in which the poet chooses a very non-traditional theme. And what is the tradition? The tradition goes that all the people are afraid of death, and due to their fear, they were respecting death. There are many poets who have written poems in the honor of death, fearing death, respecting death. But here, the poet treats death in a totally different manner. He says that nobody should be afraid of death, and he properly gives reasons why we should not be afraid of death. He gives very much strong arguments in favor of his point. So let us have a quick revision of the poem. The title of the poem is Death Be Not Proud. Death be not proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful. So the poet compares death with a mighty and dreadful king or a lady who is very proud of herself, and she is very conceited. He says that you should not be proud of yourself because you are neither mighty nor dreadful. Because those people about whom you think that you have caused them any harm or you have killed them, they die not. Poor death. Contrary, you are not mighty and dreadful, but you are poor. See the kind of terms he is using. Why he is calling poor? Because death is neither mighty nor dreadful, but it is a slave. Nor yet canst thou kill me. So he says, I am not afraid of you, poor death. You can't kill me. Because I am not just body, I am a soul. So he says, from rest and sleep, which but by thy pictures be, much pleasure than thee, much more must flow. He compares rest and sleep with death. He says that they are just the pictures of death. And from when the merely pictures of death, we get so much of pleasure, we wake up refreshed and energetic after getting up from rest and sleep. So he can imagine that when our soul will wake up from the short sleep past of death, how refreshed we will feel. So he says, soonest our best men with thee do go. I accept that you take away our best men, but you have caused no harm to them because it is rest of their bones and soul's delivery. Thou art fate, Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men. Now, here in the sestet, there is a total reversal of situation. He says, you are not a king or mighty or dreadful, but you are a slave because you come at a call. You come at the call of fate. You come at the call of chance, accidents, and you come at the call of kings and politicians and desperate men. And you live with poison, war, and sickness. Because these three terms are synonyms of death. We associate poison with death, we associate war with death, and we also associate death with sickness. And he says that poppy and charms can make us sleep as well. Poppy is a flower, intoxicant flower, which if you smell, you fall asleep. And charms means hypnotizing. You can fall asleep naturally by intoxication or by charms. So he says we can call sleep. So sleep can come at a call. So why can't death come at a call? But from sleep, poppy and charms, we get a sleep which is a better stroke than thy stroke. So when all the arguments are against you, why are you swelling with pride? Why swellest thou then? Because one short sleep past, we wake eternally. Death is compared with a short sleep, and after that past means after that short sleep, our soul will wake eternally. There will be no fear of death, there will be no dread of death, because death visits only the body. Death can cause no harm to the soul. So death shall be no more, death thou shalt die. So as I told you that it is totally reversal of situation. He is not at all a bit afraid of death. He says that death you shall be no more, and it will be the death of death, because after one short sleep past, after the actual death of our body, our souls will wake up eternally. Eternally means forever, and you will be able to cause no harm to our soul. Soul is immortal as contrasted with body which is mortal. So mortal body can be destroyed. It can come to an end with the death, but death cannot cause any sort of harm to souls. So he says that is why our best men are still living. Swami Vivekananda is still living with us, his soul, his preachings. Gandhiji is still living with us. Mother Teresa is still living with us. So all these great people, they are there with us in the form of their words, in the form of their preachings. So that is why it is said that death came only to their body, but death could not do anything to their souls, anything to their achievements, because they are still present there in the form of their good deeds, in the form of their preachings amongst us. So it is a very beautiful metaphysical poem in which he takes a very particular theme and he treats this theme in a very unconventional metaphysical manner, where he is literally taking death to task. He is chiding, he is scolding death, which no other poet has done so far. Other poets have treated death in a very respectful manner, in a very honorable manner, where they pay honor to the death, fearing it. But here he establishes the fact that death is not to be feared, it is to be taken very lightly, because death comes only to our body and it can cause no harm to our soul. So I hope you might have understood this poem. Thank you very much.